Now, lifeadministration.com presents the Life Administration Podcast. Here are your hosts, Leslie Loftus and Ryan Taylor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Life Administration Podcast. My name is Ryan Taylor, and with me, as always, is
Leslie Loftus. Hello, everyone, and glad to be back.
No kidding. Boy, it felt good to say that intro.
Yeah, it did. So, I know because you kind of told our listeners, viewers, what was going on a while ago. So nobody got sick. We actually all did fine, but we had multiple scares with his friend group and family, and scares with my kids, and so there was a couple weeks that we just couldn't get together. And then we took the opportunity because we were like, well, we're already on pause, so we have new lights, we have a new camera.
We have new recording software.
We have new recording software. We've done some changes with the set and the little thingies.
We've got new thingies.
What are these thingies called?
Pop filters.
Pop filters. Okay, the pop filters. I guess that's why, because of the P's. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they now fit. That used to bug me. We haven't gotten the sleeve because I like the arms of the
I hate the arms.
And Ryan hates them and wants to get sleeves made for them. So we're still debating that.
There is no debate. We're getting sleeves. Next week, if there's no sleeves, I'm going to take old black socks and put them over here. So it's a little look behind the magic.
Anyway, so I was already quite pleased with our sound system and stuff like that. But I think we've gotten better now.
Yep,
and
I think we have to.
And then we have some news.
We have some very exciting news.
We do have news.
So do you want to make the announcement?
No, you do.
Okay, so
you know more about it.
Starting next Thursday, actually no, so it'll be this Thursday coming up for the time that you guys see this. We are going to start the Life Administration Happy Hour stream. And so we are going to be live on Twitch and we're going to be live on YouTube at the same time. So if people, you can choose wherever you want to watch. But essentially what we're going to do is, at least at the start anyway.
Right.
We are going to look at some old episodes and we'll be obviously in frame, but we're going to pause them, kind of explain a little bit more in detail, some of those really, really episodes that are kind of deep in it. But really what we're excited about, and Leslie and I have talked about this a lot, is that we sort of feel like streaming is the evolution of AM radio. And so really what we're looking for is people in the stream to be typing questions so we can kind of work off of that.
We want real live
interaction.
Yep. And yeah, that's what both of us. So the year that we've been running this podcast, I've had kind of a hard time getting it. Okay, I kind of know, I can see how other people use, say, Instagram, but I just can't get it. And because I'm still just another thing I'm putting out, like the podcast. We're sitting, and Ryan, it helps because, Ryan's here and I can talk to Ryan while I'm talking to you. But, putting stuff out there on Instagram, I just couldn't get into it because just talking at a camera and pretending I'm talking to people just
didn't feel right for you.
I couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
Couldn't feel it. So with various things happen, and then Ryan's like, we could do Twitch. And I was like, I was just reading about that the other day, so this was about the time we took the break. So we took the time, we came up with a Twitch live stream program. So
And so that's going to be like a completely different set. It's going to have a different look, a different feel. It's going to be, I think, a lot more. I mean, we're pretty relaxed as it is.
Absolutely.
But I think it's going to be even just a little bit more relaxed. And we're really going to be we're not going to let, if we're watching an old episode and somebody has questions about something else, it doesn't have to be on topic.
Yeah.
And so we're going to run that for probably 3 or 4 weeks. And then once we have a good handle on that, we're going to actually set up a Discord where people can quote unquote call in and talk to us and be on the podcast or the stream as well. So that's going to be really, really awesome. So we got some work to do to make sure that all flushes out. Bear with us in our early weeks. I think I have it all set up in my mind theoretically. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
we're going to be test driving this a bit because I believe the just chatting section of Twitch is, it's not new, but it's relatively new. And so you can go on there and you find that people are talking about, everything, cooking classes or, how to, just talking through a study group or what. Like there's all sorts of stuff on just chatting. So we're like, it makes perfect sense to stick life administration up there. Lots of people
Absolutely.
want to know exactly how do I balance a checkbook or
Mhm.
how do I pay my taxes?
Right. So I really feel like, and also I think the breadth of the topics are going to expand a little bit
Mhm.
too, right? So we're really planning on letting you guys, we're going to have like a loose sort of itinerary of what we want to talk about, but really we're going to let you guys drive
Right.
the ship, right? Or steer the ship, I guess, right?
Yes, steer.
Yeah. In any case, really looking forward to that.
What the audience
that's
wants to
gonna
talk
be
about is,
fun.
and I am quite, Ryan knows I'm a little bit excited about
Yes,
that.
you are. And I'm excited too. It's yeah, I can't wait to get back to streaming. I absolutely loved it. So for you guys that don't know, like I streamed on Twitch
Mhm.
and I just like,
You could see him dance.
yeah.
Seriously.
And
No, it was a gaming thing, but
Yeah.
he danced.
and like the thing about it is what I enjoyed the most was not playing the game.
Right.
What I enjoyed the most was I had this stream where I was like, we're going to set the stream up. I'm going to take like questions from you guys and you're going to have an impact on how we're going to set it up. And that was like my best performing stream when I was just sitting there and talking and we were just coming up with things. And I realized that really what I like more than anything else, I guess maybe my brain doesn't work so well like when I'm playing and trying to talk. But I just like the interaction. And I think it's an easy way to interact with folks and get some questions answered and just start to create this community, right? The podcast performs really, really well. And so if you're listening in podcast land, I would encourage you, we'll be at Life Administration. We haven't set the actual accounts up yet.
Right.
But like I said, you can check us out on YouTube. The stream will be live there and it will be live on Twitch as well. So very exciting. But enough about announcements. We are in the holiday season, Miss Leslie. And so it's time.
Oh.
Well,
no, because you just gave me an episode idea, and I'm like, we've learned that I have got to get the episode ideas written down as they come, and sometimes they come in the introduction. Sorry, so I was just typing.
So there you go.
But yes, we are approaching the holiday season. It is past Halloween. It is not yet Thanksgiving. Official holiday season starts on Black Friday. And that's one thing. Everybody knows why it's called Black Friday, right?
Because that is the time where companies go from the red, we're not making money, to the black.
Old accounting style. When you hand wrote accounting stuff, any debt you put in, you had your debts in red. So the day that lots of retail companies went into the black, meaning that they finally turned a profit for the year, was the Thursday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So you basically have like 40 days to to really make your profit for the entire year.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So really cool. And I'm seeing Christmas lights going. So hold on. Are you pro Christmas lights before Thanksgiving or against?
I am usually against, but I completely sympathize with people this year, empathize with people this year that, 2020 has just been kind of weird. We're all been in our houses and our homes a whole lot. We're kind of staring at the walls and, finally the holiday season is here and we can put up the lights. And so they were going up after Election Day. You know what? This year, I can't complain about that. Normally decorations go up on, like, that's what you do Friday after Thanksgiving is you decorate, right?
Yep.
Or you start to decorate even because I layer them in. We're going to talk about all of this because you can want to spread it out. But this year I'm not gonna be a Grinch about that.
So same thing for me. Normally after Thanksgiving, I'm all good. This year, I actually really liked it. Like they put them up in my neighborhood, like probably the day after Halloween, and they turned them on,
which happened to be when daylight savings, kicked it. So it's getting darker anyway.
And I loved it. Honestly, like it was fantastic. So in any case, let's talk about holiday prep work. Go ahead. Take it away.
All right. Take it away now. My screen went to sleep.
We're talking about the calendar.
Yes, we are on the calendar. So first we prepped a little bit of that. Usually I would say that the calendars, actually I have one more little thing to put in at the beginning. We're going to talk about the holiday seasons as in, Christmas and Thanksgiving and the major end of the year holidays, and how it's, it's very, very universal, at least in the United States, to have something going on during this time of year. But most of the concepts we're going to talk about here, especially when we get to to-do lists and stuff, apply to anything that has kind of a yearly rhythm. So for instance, if you always entertain for the 4th of July, most of what we're talking about here will apply to that as well. Maybe not the gift lists and stuff like that, but kind of think through that in your head. But we are in fact talking about the end of the year, winter season, winter solstice, and all that kind of stuff.
Great.
So first thing you need to do is figure out what the dates are that your family does their holiday, because depending on, say, which religious tradition you're in, the dates of the major events are different. Right. So nail those down and then work backward and start to build in your to-do list for those. Now, I highly recommend if you're just joining the Life Administration podcast, now you need to go back to one of the first episodes. I can't remember. It's one of the first 10, but about making to-do lists. Okay. So we go through exactly how to start making to-do lists. And by the way, when we're doing this, when we're reviewing this episode on Twitch, we'll probably go into it a bit more.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're figuring, okay, Christmas Day is December 25th. And I need to have my Christmas shopping done by so-and-so. Start to work backwards, which means I need to have the food ready by then, the gifts ready by then, the tree up by then. I used to, before using reminders and stuff like that, I used to actually have a negative to-do list. So I had a generic event planning to-do list that was like negative 10 days out. This is what you do. Right. And then I came up with the 4th of July one because we used to host a 4th of July party as well. So, I could take then the generic party planning list of what you do 10 days out, what you do 2 weeks out, what you do 1 month out, then what you do 7 days out, 6 days out, et cetera. And then on the day of, or the couple of days before, you get into hours. But I would take that, and then all I had to do was modify it depending on if I was doing the summer event or the winter event. Right?
Yep.
So you can go ahead and you can build a generic one if you want to entertain a lot. But if you are starting out and you are just now doing, thinking through oh gosh, I kind of do need a plan and a to-do list for the end of the year holidays, then go ahead and build the Christmas one. And then you'll be able to pull a generic one out of the Christmas one when you're done.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Okay. So, another trick that I do for Christmas in general. Oh, okay. He's signaling to me that I've got to stay.
No, I'm saying picture the event.
Oh, picture the event. I thought you were telling me to get on my microphone. Yes. Picture the event.
You think too, this is the get on your microphone?
It was framed around the microphone. Okay. Sorry. I am not a singer by training. Definitely not. Let's just call it not at all. And so I haven't done a lot of work with microphones. And so Ryan's like, get up there, almost kiss the microphone. We're working on sound stuff. Anyhow, so picture the event. And I don't mean picture the event in the way of picturing the Pinterest, but it is really easy to get into this is hard to say, perfection pressure with the holidays. So don't picture the event in the sense of this is your ideal pie in the sky, Martha Stewart version of. Picture the actual event that you typically have, that your family typically has. Don't overreach.
Yes.
And it's really easy to get into overreach with this kind of stuff. So, who's there? What kind of food is being served? What activities are going on? What kind of decorations are up? Think through all of those things and then work back and layer in. Okay, so there's a Christmas tree on Christmas. When do I get the Christmas tree? When do I decorate the Christmas tree? Do I, and then you get into other decisions like, do I buy a fake Christmas tree that's already pre-lit? Or do I buy a tree or do I do the full Griswold and go marching out into the tundra until Audrey's legs are freezing off, do I actually, you might want to even think through last year while we were decorating the Christmas tree, we were watching Die Hard.
Yes. Very good.
Yes.
I think, and it's important to, at least from my perspective, is like to have this idea of like, how much money do you want to spend? These things can like really
Absolutely.
spiral out of control really quickly.
And that's part of the reasons why you want this list too, because, okay, what kind of food do I need to have? What kind of gifts do I need to have? And that immediately implicates budgets. This is why people get stressed out around the holiday seasons a lot, because there's layers upon layers of lists. Not only do I need to consider what the Christmas list are, I need to consider how much I'm paying for those. What are the menu items? Well, I've got to pay for and sometimes cook those or coordinate getting, well, I'm having this, I'm picking up the turkey that somebody else has cooked, but I'm cooking all the sides myself. That's a lot. And we haven't even gotten to things like decorations. And oh, by the way, part of your family is coming to stay. And you also need to have the guest room prep.
Right.
Which means you need to go through and think through, okay, do I have the guest soaps? Do I have enough towels for them? Do I have bed linens? Oh my goodness. There's just a lot of little pieces on this, which is why 6+ weeks out, go through and make your list. And next year, it's going to take, if you're starting out, it'll probably take you at least a year, maybe 2, before you have a decent bare bones list.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're going to get into it and some things are going to be like, you're not going to think of that thing until you actually get to the day. And you're like, could have had a V8. I totally forgot that if I'm going to make Christmas cookies, I need to have the Christmas cookie cutters, just slipped my mind. So you go off and you get those. And then there's other things that it's like, oh, you know what? We're really going to, I don't know, go to the ice skating thing, but you know what? It's been 2 years and y'all have never done it and nobody's missing it. And so why in the world are you trying to shoehorn it in there so that you're going to the ice skating thing when nobody's really interested? So it just falls off. So it takes a couple of years for this list to really be a fully functional and operational. Sorry.
Yeah. You're Death Star.
Yes, before you have the Death Star of Christmas lists.
Yes. So I think 2 things that you want to keep in mind is like you said, don't put the pressure on yourself to make it perfect, but do understand that, we're big believers around here than better than, right?
Yes.
This was better than last week.
Absolutely.
So, maybe you have your list for Christmas and then you have another party and then you have 4th of July, or maybe you do something for Easter and then Thanksgiving, right? And so you're always sort of combing through your list. So like, yeah, that worked. That didn't work. Oh, you know what? We didn't need that much food, which is always a big one. Like you always make way too much.
I have a pro tip about this one. Yes,
okay.
Because this one's big. And I do this at any time I'm having any sort of event, from family holidays to a New Year's party or a 4th of July party. The day after, I write a debrief. I sit down and I go through. We had too many hot dogs.
That's a great tip.
We had leftover hamburgers. Oh my gosh, the kids were absolutely drowning in gifts because, they were the only grandchildren on either side. And so grandparents got them so much stuff because I hadn't actually gotten lists to, but you need to do a debriefing close to when the event is over.
Yes.
So within a day or 2, because that's when the stuff is fresh in your mind. That's when you're actually thinking about some of those details. And I just stick it in my notes app. And then I have a to-do that comes up. My Christmas debrief to-dos come up on, I have them set for October 1st. Okay. So on October 1st, it tells me go read the debrief.
Nice. That's
and just kind of get it and start to, I'm not doing anything on October 1st with my lists and stuff. I'm not one of those people that buys Christmas gifts in September. But, I'm kind of starting to think through, oh, that's right. Oh, goodness gracious. I forgot the dog knocked over the small Christmas tree and I no longer have any little glass balls for that, so I'm either getting rid of that tree or I need to get new decorations for it, stuff like that you would have totally forgotten until you pulled it out. And I've run into this problem. In a second, I'm going to recommend that you spread out the to-do list, but there's a caveat to spreading it out. I've been very, very firm on don't decorate until Advent and such like that. But then when I go and Advent starts on December the 1st. Okay. And I would then go, but when I pulled out the stuff, and so I'm realizing that I need this item by December 10th. Well, depending on what the item is, by December 10th, it might be all sold out.
Gone.
Right. So those kind of things go on your debrief. So when you come up to it on October 1st, and I've done finally, I've gotten into the rhythm of this one. I did this one right this year. Yes. So then when it comes up on October 1st, I stick those things on my shopping list and I go out and get them while nobody's paying attention to, it's the stage when Christmas stuff starts to creep out. And it's kind of like, why are they selling that? I'm like, oh, I'm actually this year for the first time glad because now that's checked off my list.
Right.
Right. And then I go and I put it in with the Christmas decoration box. And when I go and open it on December 10th, now I'm not missing that item. I have that item.
So where do you land on, this is sort of a two-parter. So this is a question and then a comment.
Mm-hmm.
My question number one is, where do you sort of land on themes for parties and stuff like this? And then my comment is, know your audience, right? So like there are different types of, like, you've had dinner parties in the past where you have different types of audience people, you know what I mean? And so like think through, are there going to be kids there? Like to me, that's like the big one, right? What age are the kids? How are we going to keep them entertained? Nobody wants to go to a Christmas party and then like their child's pulling at their leg the whole time because there's no sort of interactive activity for them to do. They're just kind of hanging out and they're asking, when are the gifts coming? When are the gifts coming? When are the gifts coming? Right.
Okay.
And so
pro and con on you. One, thanks for the softball. Two, I mentioned that I was trying to keep this podcast. One of the things we've talked about is we were creeping up north of an hour and I was like, let's keep, oh my goodness. Yes, I could write and talk a lot on precisely that. You do for each of your events need to think through who's coming and not only say our children are a perfect example. Are children coming? What age? Because what you're doing and what you have planned when you've got a bunch of teenagers coming is very different than what you've got planned when you've got a bunch of toddlers coming. And bless you if you actually have both, because then you can make it work. Because one of the things I would say is if you have teenagers coming, you need something for them to do. And I've had all sorts of success with everything from, like hula hoops and a soccer ball thrown in the front yard. It's amazing what 12-year-olds will do at a Christmas party while their parents are inside talking if there's a lawn with a soccer ball and some glow-in-the-dark hula hoops, okay? Toddlers, of course, not quite that. So I've had rooms set up before or like have a space set up in the house that it's clear of any sort of, hazards and stuff. And that there's usually there's a ring of parents. So maybe there's 6 toddlers in the thing, but 4 parents are there that's plenty of parents for doing the monitoring. And 2 parents can kind of be off doing, okay, I'm going to get a drink or I'm going to go get my plate or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you have teenagers and toddlers, then you can peg a couple of teenagers to say, hey, would you, even I'll pay you a bit, but we're going to have this room set up. I've taken one of my girls' rooms before, say, and set it up as the little kid play area, and then had a rotation of a couple of young teens and maybe a parent or 2 that are just kind of checking in on that room or fully monitoring that room. They actually kind of like it. I mean, depending on the, if a kid's not good with little kids, well, then obviously you don't put that kid in there. But there's lots of kids that love it. And so you get everybody's happy because then you get the intergenerational mixing, matching. And frankly, parents that come with smaller children tend to do kind of a tag team sort of thing anyway, where one is like, okay, I'm going to go mingle with the adults and stuff like that for 30 minutes. You have the baby. And then they switch out.
Yep.
But the holidays are a prime time when you want to have some events that include children with this stuff. Now there's other events during the year because I'm all for have children at the events. Sometimes things are adults only.
Exactly. And that's okay.
That's totally fine.
Okay.
And you can have the candles, the actual lit candles at the adults only event. But if you're having the toddler event, I recommend more, fairy string lights or the little LED light candles.
Yes.
Because that's a big trick I use for entertaining anyway. You get a lot of bang for your not so big buck by lowering the lights and using candles and then flowers and or balloons, depending on it's amazing how that will work to kind of make a place a little bit more festive. But yeah, lit candles when you've got 2-year-olds is different than lit candles when you've got 25-year-olds.
Definitely. Okay, so we're picturing the event, but as we just did, talking about decorations, food, gifts, overnight.
Right.
Out of town guests.
Right. You've got a lot of sub lists that go. So picture the event and layer in the things for the major things you need: decorations, food, gifts, overnight or out of town guests, your own travel. If you want to do any holiday baking or cooking, like to give out cookies to neighbors and stuff, you need to put all of that. You need to layer all of those things in. And I usually think of them as categories while I'm building the list, so that I'm like, okay, now we're looking at this cooking set of stuff, and I'll layer in all the cooking things. Then you need to layer in to-dos for those to-dos. So for instance, if you were having, say, one of the things I did when my kids were tweens and under, Christmas movie night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, have them come over, popcorn, hot chocolate, watching
Bad Santa. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, Scrooge was my husband's favorite, but yeah, they had to be a little older for that one.
Right.
Anyway, no, I'm really looking. Sorry. Sorry, that's a funny movie. But
Elf.
Elf. That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna have the Christmas movie night on, say, December the 20th. Well, now I've got to work back. Okay, so when do I need to send the invites for that? When do I need to do the cooking for that? When do I need to do the shopping for that? So you can end up with layers upon layers of to-do lists.
Yeah.
When I'm breaking them down in actual lists, I tend to use one list for Christmas, and then I have sub lists with branches for the different events. Put dates on them. What you're going to find is, as you come up to the big events, yes, those days are full and full and full of to-dos. But the way that you can keep your to-do list mostly organized, I don't want you to have to sit there and go through your entire to-do list each day, because definitely during the end of the year holidays, that is too much. You need to be able to go through your list each day with the stuff limited for what you're just doing for the day. And by the way, I'm going to do a little bit of show and tell here. So, that's the weather. I don't need the weather.
It's still hot.
Yeah,
that's
it is
the
still
weather.
Freaking hot. It's
Like,
mid-November
hello?
and it's 80 degrees outside. Okay, on
86 is the high today.
Apple, at least reminders, you have a list of stuff that is actually due today. Then you have scheduled. So you can go through and you can look through, okay, here's the stuff that's coming up that's dated and has to be done today or needs to be done today. And then the scheduled stuff, you can go through and you can look through what's over the next couple of days. What have I missed for the past 2 or 3 days? That it's makes it very helpful. But building the list, garbage in, garbage out, just like data. The better you make your list for a clear to do and a date for when it needs to be done, and then also add links or pictures depending on any other context. You don't need to add every detail to your to-do list, but you think through it. You need to be able to, when it comes up on your to-do list, you need to be able to execute it or know what needs to be done rather quickly. I want to be able to look at my to-do and know in a glance what this to-do is telling me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if a link is available, give me the link. That sort of thing.
So here's my 30-second commercial break.
Go for
wait,
it.
should I make a 15-second commercial break now that we're shortening the episodes? Yep, exactly. So my commercial break is, and I speak from experience as someone who over the past year has been throwing multiple gatherings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just had like a little like fall festival thing at our house. Like our church normally has like this really big fall festival.
Right.
For obvious reasons, we didn't do that this year.
So you had a tighter group one.
Right.
Yeah.
We had, exactly. We had a tighter group one. Now, there were lists upon lists to get all sorts of things. We knew we were going to have kids there and the whole deal. So my advice here is, it is so easy at the beginning days of the to-do list to be like, oh, you know what? That's not going to take me that long. Let me take this and let me just put it on day 3. And what happens is you do this for the first 3 or 4 days. And now you're 48 hours away from the event. You really haven't done all that much. And let me just tell you, the last 2 days when you do that, it is absolutely brutal.
Yes.
And I will tell you that like the stress level goes up very, very much. And it can cause, now thankfully, like this didn't happen with my wife and I, but I have seen it happen.
But no.
You can start
You can see marital strife in this
Yep.
because it's high stress, especially when we're actually at Christmas and we're talking about family.
Yes.
You know, so this is a dropped ball with your mother-in-law coming in town or what. Yes, it can cause significant. We've talked about this in the marriage episode that a lot of this life administration stuff, it's like putting a toddler that's throwing temper tantrums all the time and okay, get him an extra hour of sleep and that hopefully that'll take care of half of that. That's kind of life administration in marriage.
Yeah, definitely. And so I would just, because you don't want to be in the situation where you're rushing. The party starts at 5:00 and it's 4:50 and you're being snappy to your kid, you're being snappy to your wife, your spouse. And then 5:00 comes, you open the door and you got to put the fake smile on your face and just pretend like everything is going great. Like that's not a good space to be in. I mean, ultimately you want that stuff to be done and be put behind you. And so there's a phrase that we use a lot on our podcast. We say freedom within the framework, right?
Yes.
There is no freedom when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like you really, hey, I get it. Life happens. Things sometimes have to be pushed out. But if you're using any sort of procrastination because you just like whatever, you don't feel like doing it that day, like that's a bad place to be and will ultimately come and bite you in the behind.
Everything Ryan just said, seconded.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's one that like, so for instance, I had a bunch of stuff on my to-do list for Tuesday, but my daughter is now 15 and that was just the day that we were able to go get her permit. So we ended up at the Texas DPS for 3 or 4 hours. So I didn't, so that stuff got bumped till the next day. Or if it was a Tuesday thing, it got bumped to the next Tuesday. Okay. That works on a regular basis.
Yeah.
For my regular stuff. But yes, if you actually have a party coming up on Friday, you need to go ahead and get it done. Call and all. Either modify your plan. Don't let it build up on you. And then I also have one more. And this only works for the low level snippies and stuff. But my husband and I have thrown a lot of big parties. And I now have my lists and I know what I'm going to do for the day. And so my children are now trained on it's party day. Mom is kind of short. And it's not, it's just when I'm telling them to do something, I'm not saying go pick up your stuff, please. And I'm not being calm about it. And instead of yelling at them, what's that joke about, Mom, why are you yelling at us about this? And I'm like, well, I didn't yell the first 5 times. I yelled the 5th time, right? The first time I asked you really politely, the second time sort of politely, okay. My ask to snapping is like 1 or 2 steps instead of 5 steps, but just tell them that. Oh, yeah. Just know Mom's short today because it's party day.
Yeah. And you should do what I tell you to do.
Right. And you should do it. But a little bit of expectation management goes a long way so that when I'm barking at them, just get the candles lit. They're not taking too much offense at that because usually I'm nicer about it.
Right. Right.
And it's normally not, and in my household, we call Mom upset ogre mom.
You said it. I wasn't going to say it.
It's not a full ogre mom moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. And then my last little caveat here, and we can move on, is give yourself plenty of time. So when and we talked about this in the building a schedule episode, but hanging up lights, you may think is a 30-minute job.
Not the first time ever. Ever.
So like, I'm just going to be straight here. Number one, you don't want to be rushing through these things because then they take longer than they should. But
we can go back to the whole Griswold episode in the lights.
Yes. Right. Okay. But like, I mean, a perfect example is that we hung the strand of lights in our backyard from the house to this tree and then back. And I'm thinking to myself, like,
it's a V.
How hard can this be? Right. But then all of a sudden
shocking.
It's like, hey, actually, like I have to go get the ladder and I have to get this pole because I have to reduce the tension so I can staple it in the right way. Oh, but then once I stapled it, my wife was like, I don't like this, like not enough slack, right over here. So all of a sudden this job in my mind that it's like, you pull the thing, you staple it, you plug it in, done deal, that, is a 30-minute job in my mind has now crept up to be an hour and a half.
Right.
So
and you didn't even need to go, oh, shoot, I don't have the proper outdoor extension cord. I need to run to Home Depot.
Right.
Right. You didn't even have that complication on top of it.
So, if you think it's going to take 30 minutes, maybe say an hour, maybe say an hour and a half, only you know you, but you don't want to be rushing because that's going to increase the stress. This should be right. My wife always says that, like, when we do chores together, like, I want you to be happy. Like, I want you, right?
Because I'm doing chores. How happy do you expect me to be?
But to her point is that she doesn't want to see me like going like, here's the list, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Like, she wants to be happy and joking and having a good time and enjoying the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because things are what you make it. And this can be stressful. So don't make it stressful.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, I'm done for a little while.
Yeah, that's all right. Totally fine. Shoot, and I just had something that popped into my head and then it popped right out. Anyway, I also have one more pro tip about the calendar, and I have used this one for the past couple of years to great effect. So, little background, we came home from London, the children, so we'd been out of the country for a while, and the twins were 3. So I had 7, 6, and 2 3-year-olds, something like that. Oh, no, it wasn't. We weren't back yet. We were visiting Ann, and the twins were 2. They got lost in the papers because they were, at the time, everybody was pretty much the only grandchild on each side. My nephew Ian had just been born. And so just absolutely overloaded with gifts. And really, they got lost in the wrapping paper, which can just give you an idea of how much chaos was going on around the whole thing. And it suddenly occurred to me also, my husband and I are Anglican, and we were living in London. And I always thought of the 12 Days of Christmas as a silly song about, like Christmas is a day, right? I grew up Baptist. We didn't realize until I lived over there. It's actually, no, it's a season and it's 12 days. And it's preceded by the beginning of the church calendar, which is Advent, which is 24 days? Right. Suddenly I was like, wait. So we're all sorts of hype and bustle to get to completely overload the children on one sugar high present. And it's like, we're spreading this out.
Yes.
We can use the calendar. So, in whatever tradition you are, if you want, let's say maybe you're not Anglican, but you could easily follow, okay, well, Thanksgiving, you can still kind of follow the idea of it. So we come and we give thanks in late November. And then the season of Advent is a season of preparation where we think through and we mull on the sacrifice of the gift that we're getting ready to get in Christ, right? You can work that all you want. So we've gone so now we have Advent, which is our preparation time for the holidays, from everything from shopping to baking for others to, instead of giving little gifts to my kids all the time, we're doing charity work. Yep. So from Thanksgiving to Christmas Day, and we ended up with a service, I usher, my children acolyte, my husband, volunteers, let's call it volunteers at the church. So Christmas Eve, we're there all day.
Yep.
So Advent into the month of December is a full on service time.
Yeah.
And then we go through, and I now have spread out because there were so many things that my kid was like, all right, I made theme days for the 12 Days of Christmas, kind of like the silly song.
Yeah.
So I've spread Christmas out. So now Christmas Day, they get something under the tree from Santa. They get stocking stuffers. And then the rest of the stuff that they would normally get over, that was burying my twins that year, that's now spread out onto, we have, and some things are events. Like one of the things that my family has done, our Jim's family actually, family game nights.
Yes.
So the day after Christmas, or the second day of Christmas, is family game night. We come over and we play dominoes and cards and, all that kind of stuff. There used to be going to the movies in your pajamas. We won't be doing that one this year. I'm pretty sure. Sadness. Although we can certainly do it on the couch, whatever. And then that was the day, because how often do you get pajamas for Christmas? Everybody
Right.
gets a set of pajamas for Christmas. Well, I just moved it from Christmas Day to the 3rd or 4th day of Christmas whenever we were doing pajama movie night,
Yeah.
right? Awesome.
Yeah. No,
The kids love it. We love it. Sometimes I've even bought them gifts in the after Christmas sales.
I will tell you that the first year that I met you, you guys were doing that. And I went home and I said to Lauren, doesn't have to look exactly like, but what they got going on over there is absolutely fantastic. And now that Hallie's old enough, we don't have like, because we only have her.
Right.
But we do sort of these scavenger hunts every day.
Scavenger
right?
hunts are
So right
awesome. The kids love them.
right now,
Yeah.
every parent's, I'm about to say elf on the shelf. It's like, right. I know. But the elf, he gives little clues to what's going on. And every day, like there's just a little something, right? A little something. We sort
I
of
love your
spread-
idea. I want to shoot the elf.
Right. I know. Okay. Back to
Mhm.
the party.
Right.
Right. So we got that. So anything else that you want to talk about before we sort of dig into like some of the details of the party?
Nope. We can move on to details.
Great.
And Ryan kind of hit on one about 5 minutes ago too.
I did?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Well, you know what I say about the details? Don't sweat them.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's kind of what you hit on is don't get too worked out. You need to do them. I mean, this is the most life administration point I can probably, the details do matter. I'm not saying don't sweat the details because they don't matter. They actually do.
Yes.
But you know what? Weddings. You have an idea of how you want your wedding flowers to be or whatever, and maybe they show up wilted or they show up and the red is not the red that you wanted, whatever. Okay. Getting upset about that is sweating the details.
Yes.
I mean, yes, you want a beautiful bouquet yet, but you know what? When it comes down to the actual day, when you're actually in the middle of it and executing, look around and appreciate. So you're hanging the Christmas lights, and your wife's like, well, no, I want it to swag a little bit more and stuff like that. And your daughter, make it a family thing. Make it a fun memory of, okay, Hallie, help me with this. I mean, I know I'm just saying this because you're right here, but don't sweat the details is not something about ignoring the details. Just don't get too worked up about them. The important thing, the Grinch.
Right.
The important thing, it came without boxes.
Mhm.
It came without tags. Precisely.
If-
Even if all of that stuff goes away, you're still together. You're still sharing the time with your family. That's the truly important part. The rest of the stuff, well, you can put that in your debrief notes and fix it next year.
Yeah, that's well said. My grandfather always used to say, it's not about the thing that you're doing. It's about the people that you're doing it with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mindset, slow down, take the time to do the, right.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if the details shouldn't be things that are taking away from the experience of spending time with the people that you love and that you care about. And if it is, then it's gut check time.
Yep. You need a reevaluation.
Right. You need to say, like, what is really important here, right? Is the appearance the most important thing? Is that what I'm focused on? Or is it spending time with the people that I love and that I care about? And if it's the former, not the latter, that's a self-evaluation, right? That's like, hey, let's really let the big things be the big things,
And because here's the thing, even when something screws up, story. When we were in London, we didn't have a whole lot of storage space, which is why everything was out on the counter. And so since it was out on the counter, I wanted it to look pretty, like things like flour, right? Wanted it to look pretty. And so I had it in clear canisters so we could tell, but I didn't have them marked. I, however, knew which canister was the salt and which one was the sugar. Because I cooked all the time. My mother visiting and wanting to make sugar cookies with her grandchildren. I wasn't there that afternoon. She was spending, because, Grandma and Mimi and the children are spending time together. They're baking cookies. This is all wonderful. She grabs, you know where I'm going with this. And then Peyton, my daughter, goes to eat the cookies afterwards. And she's looking like, it was bad. And Mimi's like, what in the world is wrong? Yeah, she'd made salt cookies.
Yeah.
She'd made salt dough. Now, one, we had a good hearty laugh about that. And now to this day, all three of them still laugh at that a bit. We also made salt dough ornaments out of them.
Oh, there you go.
Perfect. So, you kind of zig. So even when it just all goes sideways and you're trying to, don't get so caught up in, I was going to make these sugar cookies for the neighbors and now I have to make a new batch.
Just is what it is.
It is what it is. Zig and make salt dough ornaments and give those to the neighbors.
And there you go.
Say, don't eat them.
Yep, definitely.
The cookies were terrible. They were just, you can imagine.
And so our next point is not to be cramming new details, new things. Like you have your list, right? And if you're 3 days away from the gathering and all of a sudden you have this grandiose idea to do something new,
put it in your notes for next year.
Do it next year.
Put it in your notes for next year. Unless you were getting married, moving, some big life changes like that. So, because these holidays are very traditional. People like the rhythm of my girls are right now watching, they're on a Friends binge. And so the Thanksgiving episode where Monica's having to make 3 different kinds of mashed potatoes because that's how each different person, right? Okay. These sorts of holidays have a lot of rhythm and tradition in them. And you do it that way because you've always done it that way. On normal years, I don't recommend changing more than like one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Right now, if you're moving somewhere, let's say you're moving from Texas to Minnesota, Christmas is going to be first of all, it's going to be actually winter.
Yeah. You will have snow.
Yes, you'll have snow. So, you can you can decide, what? I'm just going to do it totally differently this year. Also, because it's going to be, maybe we went with this family on Christmas Eve and this family on Christmas Day before, but now we live in Minnesota and not Austin. And so that's going to change up. If you have an opportunity like that, then change all sorts of things.
Yep.
Right. And certainly don't change it at the last minute.
No,
right.
Definitely
but
not.
Otherwise creep the things. Cause also you'll be surprised. It's amazing how quickly, cause how old's Holly now? 4?
4.
Okay. Do you think she would it might be a year or 2, but it's about 6 or so. Like if you make a major change to Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And like where you put the tree or where this ornament goes or woe be onto you.
My wife is 35.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to make a change right now, unless she's the one to initiate the change, it ain't happening. Like I am not offering new ideas at this point. Okay. Right. Like she can be the harbinger of change there. Because there's it's, to me, again, it's about the family and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
You want to make a change, great. Otherwise, I'm good. Like I'm great with whatever we've been doing, unless it's totally off the wall. And then what I'll say is in June, I'll say something and be like, let's make sure we have enough time to make sure that we know what's going on there. Okay. So we talked about it all already, but at least one cycle to get that to-do list going, right?
I mean, it really does. Because you will find things that you didn't think of until they happen, and other things that you're like, why am I getting all worried about this?
Yeah.
Yep.
The next point that you talk about is make notes as you go and do a debrief, which I think is that is the pro tip. It's the after action report, right?
Yep.
It's the coach's tape for the football game.
Precisely.
You should always, whenever you're doing something big like that, and
this applies to work projects too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Anything that has some sort of rhythm and it's going to come up again, debrief it.
Yeah. There's just
right.
And a lot of people sort of shy away from that. And I just I can't encourage you because they don't want to see their faults, right? They don't want to see where things went wrong and they don't want to relive it, but that's just a part of it. You deal with it and you move on and you say, okay, how can we make this better next time? Right. No problem there.
Yeah. And then when I do them, I have one running debrief note for Christmas, another one for New Year's party, that sort of thing. I stick the most recent year on top. So even if I want to go and I want to see the debrief from 2017, I just scroll down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's still in the same document.
Same document.
Right.
Makes it nice and easy. Great. Any closing thoughts? I think that's about it.
I do not have any more at the moment, other than everybody have, happy early holiday season.
Yeah,
We're all like, oh
we're
man,
so ready
I can't,
for it.
we can't. Yes. So
We're
ready
so
for
ready
it.
for
And
it.
I haven't heard anybody. Usually by this time of year, somebody is all, sometimes it's me. I can't believe they have Christmas decorations up already. And now everybody's like, oh, yay.
Yeah. My dad would say it was a sin.
Yeah.
He would say something like, you can't put up before Thanksgiving. I can hear him saying it,
Yes. This year he wouldn't mind.
He wouldn't mind. No, not at all. Not at all. My closing thoughts, it's great to be back.
It is. It is great to be back.
It's great to be back. I am nervous about how everything is going to turn out, with the sound and the camera. So
the new software looks a little different to him.
And by a little bit, we mean a lot.
Okay. See, I don't actually see what he sees on his screen. So, but apparently the sound looks different.
It looks different, but so it, might be a little bit of tweaking between this week and next week, but ultimately we have the streams coming up. That's going to be an absolute blast. So
we're really excited about that.
Really looking forward to doing that and just connecting with you guys in a real way, in a real time way.
Yep.
Other than that, if you've enjoyed the episode, please consider giving us a thumbs up on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new content that's coming out. Also, you'll be notified when we're streaming on YouTube. If you're listening to us on the podcast, go get yourself a Twitch account. Make sure you check out YouTube. That's going to be we know that there's thousands of people out there that are listening to us. And so we want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to connect with us first, and then ultimately be a part of the show and see where this thing goes. Cause that to me is the crux of it. Once we get those Discord calls working, and that's going to be an absolute
because it's a bit of a test drive. We're trying, we've got an idea and a concept, but we're going to kind of let the audience drive exactly how it shakes out. Right. So we'll do it for a couple of weeks, and then we'll look at it. And
just like your holiday lists and your holiday incremental improvement, right? We'll do one thing at a time, and then we're going to look at it. Hey, that went well. That didn't go well. So if you are listening to us on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, 5-star rating, guys, really, really helps us out. Leave some comments in there. If you're on Twitter, you can find me at Ryan Tailon, RyanTaillon.
I am on Twitter at Leslie Loftus, text TX. And otherwise, you can email me at Leslie at Life Administration. You can also get Ryan at Life Administration.
Yeah, Ryan at lifeadministration.com.
Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you.
Very, very soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Very, very soon.
Exactly.
I got goosebumps just thinking about it.
We're excited to be back on air. So.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
And I'm impressed that you remembered the ending pitch. It's been 5 weeks.
I know.
Well done.
It's pretty good. I was nervous about it. I'm not going to lie.